As if Coronation Street's murder mystery didn't already have enough suspects, Ryan Connor is about to uncover a major clue linked to a completely new person in Theo Silverton's killing. Police continue digging into the death of one of the soap's most ruthless villains in recent years. The dramatic whodunit is overflowing with suspects, each carrying a strong reason to want Theo gone from Weatherfield for good. Leading the suspect list is Theo's suffering partner Todd Grimshaw, who spent months trapped in a nightmare of physical and emotional cruelty inflicted by Theo. Todd's close ally and father figure, George Shuttleworth, also had every reason to despise Theo after recognizing the warning signs of the abusive relationship early on, alongside George's supportive partner, Christina Boyd. Meanwhile, detectives have been paying close attention to Gary Windus, who already has a dangerous history when it comes to dealing with villains permanently. Summer Spellman has also attracted suspicion after vowing revenge on Theo for abandoning her stepfather, Billy Mayhew, during the devastating minibus fire. Then there is Theo's bitter former wife, Danielle Silverton. Theo left Danielle and their children behind so he could start a new life with Todd. Danielle is now heading back to the street for Theo's funeral, where she is set to deliver a huge shock to Todd. So where does Ryan Connor fit into the chaos surrounding Theo's death? The Chariot Square hotel manager has faced more than his fair share of trauma over the years. He discovered he had been switched at birth, struggled with addiction problems, and survived a horrific acid attack that was originally intended for Daisy Midgley by her obsessive stalker. Following the attack, Ryan spiraled as he tried desperately to rebuild his self-esteem, turning to steroids and creating explicit online content for strangers. After a painful recovery journey, he has finally managed to get his life back on track. Lately, Ryan has been busy trying to protect his boss and friend Debbie Webster from losing the Chariot Square Hotel to her manipulative son Carl. However, upcoming Coronation Street scenes will pull Ryan directly into the murder investigation when he admits he spotted one suspect near the crime scene on the night Theo was killed. After Christina lied to the police and pressured George into pointing suspicion towards Summer, tensions grow between Todd and George, with Todd refusing to attend Theo's funeral. Things get even worse when Danielle arrives and publicly accuses Todd of murdering Theo for his insurance money in front of everyone. Mary Taylor quickly jumps to Todd's defense and suggests Danielle herself could be responsible, causing Danielle to storm away in anger. That is when Ryan follows her outside and reveals a bombshell. He remembers seeing Danielle on the night Theo died. Why was Danielle on the street that night, and what lengths will she go to in order to stop Ryan from exposing the truth? Daniel Osborne finds himself in deep trouble in Coronation Street as Jody's behavior spirals out of control. If there's one thing Weatherfield residents should know by now, it's probably not to invite the street's biggest troublemaker to move in. Unfortunately for Daniel, he's about to discover that mistake for himself. As unlikely partnerships go, Daniel and Jody make about as much sense as Mary Taylor teaming up with Gary Windass for a knitting club. Yet despite their differences, tension and chemistry have been building ever since Daniel offered her a place to stay. To be fair, Jody wasn't exactly spoiled for choice. After her revenge plan against Shona completely collapsed and her attempt to seduce David failed miserably, she needed someone willing to take her in. That someone turned out to be Daniel, who unknowingly opened his door to trouble. Allowing Weatherfield's most chaotic woman into his spare room was hardly a wise move, but Daniel hasn't exactly been thinking clearly lately. The troubled teacher has been struggling badly ever since the truth came out about his former girlfriend Megan Walsh. Residents learned that Megan had only been with Daniel to cover up the fact she had been grooming his underage student Will Driscoll. Daniel's situation worsened when a cruel remark from Hope Stape about Megan caused him to lose his temper at school, leading to Mrs. Crenshaw suspending him from Weatherfield High. The only reason Daniel agreed to let Jody stay was because she threatened to expose his lie about taking a trip to the lakes. In reality, He had been isolating himself in the flat while drowning his sorrows. Unexpectedly, Jody seemed to become a positive influence in Daniel's life, making herself useful around the home just as she previously did with the Platt family. Their growing bond even began to hint at the possibility of friendship, or perhaps something more. However, once Daniel tried pulling himself together for Birdie's sake, he cautiously suggested that it might be time for Jody to move out. Soon afterwards, Daniel became the target of an online troll known as Truth Teller, who spread nasty rumors claiming Daniel had known about Megan's abuse of Will all along. Of course, the person behind the account is none other than Jody herself, but she may have pushed Daniel too far this time. In upcoming scenes, Daniel is ambushed by two masked teenagers who throw paint over him while shouting abuse. Enraged and humiliated, Daniel lashes out and threatens the youths, who laugh at him while recording everything on their phones. The incident leaves Daniel looking emotionally shattered and unstable. But things only become worse when Ken hears about the attack and encourages Daniel to take another holiday. Overcome with guilt, Daniel finally admits that he never went away at all and had instead been hiding in his flat with only Jody by his side. Ken is left horrified by the confession and insists that Birdie deserves far better from his father. Has Jody's latest manipulation finally pushed Daniel to breaking point? Sam Blakeman reaches breaking point in Coronation Street when he lashes out at Will Driscoll with chilling words that could have devastating consequences. There is only so much pressure one young boy can handle, and Sam finally loses control when he tells Will he wishes he were dead, just as Will's trauma continues to spiral. Trying to do the right thing has come at a heavy cost for Sam. The young detective of Weatherfield was the first person to realize that his schoolmate Will was trapped in a manipulative and illegal relationship with predatory teacher Megan Walsh. Although Sam exposed Megan's true behavior, he suffered badly in the process. Megan subjected him to threats, intimidation, and unfair treatment at school, leaving Sam so overwhelmed that he took unprescribed medication and later collapsed in the street. Even after Megan's secrets were uncovered, Sam's ordeal did not end. At first, police struggled to gather enough evidence against Megan because she had carefully hidden her actions. Instead of bringing relief, Sam's decision to speak out only made an angry Will blame him for ruining what he believed was a genuine relationship. The relentless bullying pushed Sam into a severe mental health crisis. He began suffering disturbing hallucinations, imagining Will chasing and threatening him. In one frightening episode, Sam believed Will had cornered him in the ginnel, only to realize he had actually been arguing with himself and smashing his treasured telescope. Sadly, things continued getting worse for the troubled teenager. More recently, Sam overheard Nick Tilsley and Toya Battersby discussing a wine delivery, but in his distressed state, he imagined them calling him a liar and accusing him of being jealous of Will. He also experienced a disturbing vision of Roy Cropper, who behaved completely unlike himself and warned Sam that enemies were everywhere, telling him he could trust nobody. While Sam struggles with his deteriorating mental state, Will is also facing his own emotional collapse. Megan's hold over him was finally shattered on the day they planned to flee to Paris together. A heartfelt conversation with Tim Metcalf, who opened up about his own experience with abuse, helped Will see the truth. Realizing Megan had only booked a ticket for herself finally opened his eyes, and he reported her to the police, leading to her arrest. However, recovery has been far from simple for Will. He is devastated by the revelation that Megan never truly cared about him and now finds it difficult to trust anyone around him. He recently even accused Bethany Platt of inappropriate behavior when she had simply tried to comfort him with a hug. There is no doubt that Will is struggling deeply, and tensions between his father Ben and grandmother Maggie are only adding more pressure. Things soon take an even darker turn. In upcoming scenes, Sam angrily confronts Will in the cafe and calls him evil before cruelly saying he wishes he were dead. The confrontation leaves Will visibly shaken. Later, Will overhears Ben emotionally telling Eva Price that Megan has destroyed his son's life, pushing Will into even greater despair. Heartbroken and overwhelmed, Will drinks vodka before climbing dangerously high onto scaffolding in the builder's yard. Thankfully, Asha Alahan spots him and quickly contacts Maggie for help. Maggie rushes to the scene and climbs up to reach Will herself, desperately trying to convince him that he can still regain control of his future. As the terrified family watches on, the question remains, can Maggie persuade Will to come down safely, or will tragedy strike? Coronation Street airs on weeknights at 8:30 p.m. on ITV1 and streams on ITVX.